But then we get to the Boston Celtics and Brooklyn Nets game. Man, boy, oh boy, what a spectacular outing. First and foremost, I want to give a huge shout out to the Boston Celtics. I apologize to the Boston fans out there that unfortunately, this is the community that I participate in. That I also, I'm also partially to blame because we should be celebrating the Boston Celtics right now. But unfortunately, what ended up happening is that for the past year, people were lying, and we do have to take the time out to expose the lies. So to the Boston Celtics fans out there, y'all do y'all thing, man. I appreciate it. I had you all winning in this series anyway. I thought that you was going to be 7 because I thought somebody was going to show up. But hey, here we are now. Looks like y'all are on the brink of winning this in a sweep or maybe 5 games. But boy, oh boy, yesterday, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving took the floor. Probably didn't know that because they finished the game abysmal. Kevin Durant, 16 points, held to 11 shot attempts. Only got to the free throw line twice. He did get 8 rebounds, 8 assists, but did turn the ball over 5 times. Kyrie, most skilled guard of all time. 16 points while shooting 6 for 17 from the field. 0 for 7 from 3. Not the most skilled. In the NBA community, we have to do a better job on having basketball conversations. We have to. We must. It is our job to make sure when we have a conversation about basketball that it's not full of just bullshit. People just talking for the sake of talking. We have to have very legitimate conversations. So when we have these conversations, the dialogue around being a skilled player, it has to grow. It has to mature. We are no longer in the 90s or 80s where our conversations have to be rudimentary. The complexity of people's understanding of how the game of basketball should be played has grown over the years. And quite frankly, just dumb in general, for us to talk about skill in really only one facet of basketball. And that is, how well can you score or how versatile of a scorer are you when the ball is in your hand? That tends to be where the conversation begins and ends. So earlier this week, when Tracy McGrady said Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving are the most skilled duo of all time, he was factually incorrect. The reason why he was incorrect is because you have 2 players who lack in so many other departments of basketball that there's no way that can be complete. Chris Paul is a more skilled player, especially at his peak, than Kyrie Irving. Because though he may not put the ball in between his legs and give you all the fancy dribble moves, and he may not look as aesthetically as appealing as Kyrie Irving, Chris Paul still scores just as efficient and maybe in some regards even more efficient than Kyrie. He does it on several different levels. Well, with some of the hoopers love to call the five Cash is 5 levels of scoring: in the paint, float game, mid range, 3-point, 3-point, behind the 3-point, and free throw. And he's a passer. Kyrie's not. He knows how to manipulate the defense through his passing. Kyrie doesn't know how to do that. And he defends, and he does so in various different ways. All those things are skills. Things that we know for a fact Kyrie does not do on a high enough level to put him in the conversation with Chris Paul. But what bothers me even more when we have these conversations, let me first get to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, who, to be fair to KD, he definitely looks probably a foot slower than he normally does, a step slower, than he normally does. Probably him aging as well as the Achilles injury that everybody believes that he's the same player as he was before. He's not. But even at his peak, he wasn't as good as passer as LeBron. He wasn't manipulating defense as good as LeBron. He wasn't able to read defense as good as LeBron. Those are all skills. He wasn't as good as a rebounder as LeBron. That's a skill. He wasn't a good on-ball defender as LeBron. That's a skill. He's not as good a defending in the passing lane like LeBron. That's a skill. Those are all skills. But because he can put the ball between his legs more aesthetically pleasing than LeBron does, well, then I guess LeBron, he's not as skilled as Kevin Durant, which is even funny to say out loud. When I even say something like that, LeBron isn't as skilled as Kevin Durant, the fact that anybody can even utter those words is by far the most alarming, disgusting, bullshit that we've been having as a conversation for the past 2 years now in the NBA community. Because it all started with that egregiously dumb or Hooper versus basketball player conversation. That's where it began. As soon as we get to the point we're stepping into the bounds of saying that the basketball player can't be better than the hooper because the hooper, as basketball don't or ball don't stop, like to say, I forget the gentleman name who runs that horrible platform. Zach LaVine is better than Giannis because if you put Zach LaVine in the Bucks offense, I mean, he'll be able to close games. He went on to expound on that concept by saying down the stretch of games, he would literally be able to do tween hezzy splash. And so now here we are several years later. And when having the dialogue about how good is his next team is, I know for a fact I've been one of the loudest people telling you, hey, it's almost unheard of. Actually, I take that back. It is unheard of for a team to win a championship and not be competent defensively. I was told defense doesn't actually even matter. As long as you're so great offensively, you can be fine on defensive end. It's fine. You don't have to worry about that. The rationale that had to go through people's mental to convince themselves that the one aspect of basketball that has been constant over decades and decades and decades now goes out of the window. Why? Tween hezzy splash. I'm being told that Kevin Durant is better than Giannis. Why? Tween hezzy splash. I'm being told that this is the most skilled duo of all time. Why? Tween hezzy splash. It can be tween hezzy brick, but as long as the tween hezzy looks good to them, well, I know you a hooper. I ain't got to worry about if you miss or make those shots. That's fine. Because I know for a fact Giannis can't give me a tween hezzy like that. So you're better than him. You're a real hooper. I would like the dialogue in the NBA community to change in terms of how we discuss basketball because the way that some people talk about why a team or a player is supposed to do this or that. Why? Because he did some was because his resume, because something he did 5 years ago. What does that have to do with where we are right now? Kevin Durant, he's gonna really go off. Why? Oh, he's pissed. What does that mean? Why can't you explain to me how he's going to counter the defense? Why are you not going to explain to me how he needs to explode going right so they don't trap him to force him to go left? Why don't you explain these things? But he's pissed. Why can't we have a much deeper conversations between people on Twitch, people on YouTube, people in Twitter spaces, and the ESPN analysts, Fox analysts, all these other people? There's way too much basketball, all the other podcasts. There's way too much dialogue being had about basketball. Like, nigga, we're in a podcast for hours. We're in Twitter space for hours. We got time. Explain to me what's going to happen. Why is he going to play better? He's pissed. What does that mean? I guess somebody can maybe be upset at how they performing, but how are they going to counteract the defense that's being shown to them? Like, why? Like, have a discussion. Damn.